Hi, Andre.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Excited to have you on the show today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Tia. Very excited to talk to you.
Well, I have really enjoyed getting to learn a little bit more about you even before we went ahead and hit record. So I want to jump right in. You oversee a little over 100 people in the United States, and of course, it's been a very challenging time for the travel industry. There's good news in the future, but still continues to be hurdles. And one of the challenges that many companies are facing is people feeling disconnected, people feeling isolated. And even though people like the flexibility, they are feeling disconnected. So I know the majority of the people on your team are working virtually. Some might go into an office now and then, but a lot of people are working virtually. So how are you creating human connection and leading, making sure people feel connected this year?
Sure. So it's very important to feel that way. I think people are getting video fatigue sometimes. So, what we do try and do outside of people can go into an office, as we did mention. They have the ability to go in if they want. When they do go in, we try and pull together in as a group and say, hey, as a group, there's a handful of us going into the office if anyone wants to join. But outside of that, first of all, it's very important for managers to have one-on-ones. So that's my utmost thing is I want to make sure managers have one-on-ones with their employees and that they are there and present. I think also virtually, sometimes you get distracted a little bit too easily. So I always say, what, put your phone away, just really pay attention to the person that you're talking to with the one-on-one. So communication is very key. Outside of that, we do a US call monthly with the whole entire US, and it's a quick call every 2 months. And then the third month at the end of the quarter, we make it for an hour long. So it's either 30 minutes or an hour. And in that time, we just give an update as to what's going on across the company, what's happening in each of the departments. We want to make sure everyone's feeling connected with what's going on. And then once a month as a company globally, because we are a global company, we do a global call for an hour to ask questions, see what's going on across the company globally, which I think is very important. We also do office stand-ups. So every Friday in the New York office, we have a stand-up, and it's all of the employees from the New York office. And in that, we just talk about what's going on, what's happening in the office, what are some wins that we had. We also do a thing called shout outs. It's always to shout out people, who did something special this week, who did something that you want to shout them out. And it's great to have not only just a manager shout you out, but your peer shout you out. So we do the shout outs on the monthly US call too, which is really important.
And I want to also ask, those are all, I could see how you're ensuring that people stay up to date, feel connected to what's happening. Tell the listeners about Lunch on Us.
Yes. So one of the things that when I took over overseeing the US, I really wanted to make sure I got to know everyone on the team. And it's important to just really get to know people so that they can trust you. They know who you are. You add empathy to your relationship with them. And one of the things I started up with someone I work with, Chris Vassell, is Lunch on Us. So Lunch on Us is a program that we do every other Friday for an hour. We send an Uber Eats card to 4 employees, and we just sit down and have lunch virtually and talk about what's going on, what's the biggest obstacle you have in your current role, and is there a solution? Is there something we can help with to remove this obstacle or make it better? What motivates you? What motivates you to be here, and it gets you excited? And then we talk about being virtual. We want to say, how are you doing? How are you handling this? Is there anything we can do? What recommendations do you have that we could make this easier, because we are still virtual pretty much? So it's great to just really hear insight and just get to know each of the employees. So I seem to really like the Lunch on Us. I know the team seems to. We always start with a fun icebreaker. The favorite one has been sweet or salty. Do you like sweet or salty? And it just kind of breaks the ice a little bit. And it's been some nice conversations that we've had.
Well, I'm sure, first of all, just buying lunch, every human being loves
Yeah.
that. And you said,
Yep.
bringing people together from different teams
Oh
so that
yeah,
they're not
I'm
only,
sorry. That's right. That's
yeah,
one thing I forgot to mention that because we have so many different departments at Travel Zoo, not everyone talks to everyone. So it's important when we pull together the 4 different people, we try and pull them from different areas of the business. So someone from finance is actually hearing what are the struggles in sales, and the person in production is hearing what's going on with marketing. So it's nice to try and pull in people from different teams.
right, right. No, I love that. I think that's such a great idea. You also told me a little bit about your feeling of pride for for showing empathy, showing up with empathy, and that the leaders of the company, that's one of the reasons why they wanted you to be one of the senior leaders for the US division, was because of this strength. So in addition to human connection, that you were able to authentically show empathy. So can you tell me how you do this? And actually, I want to know, have you always been this way? Is this something that you've cultivated over time as a leader? Because I think empathy is something that not everybody gets right.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say, I feel like I've always been that way as a leader. And we were talking a little bit earlier that one of the ways you become the leader that you are is through your past leaders. And that's something that I've always tried to do is when I have a leader of when I have a leader and I like something that they do, I want to copy them. I want to do what they're doing because I like it. And if is something that a leader is doing that I don't like, I make sure I don't do it. So I've created this leadership style that I really, like some of the things certain people have done, which, I've always talked about handwritten notes is really important. It's so important to just personalize things. And, I was mentioning there's a company called Punk Post that if you don't want to do the handwritten note, Punk Post will actually do it for you, and they personalize it, and it's through an app, and it's just really, it's all about the thought that counts, they always say, and it's just taking
Right.
the time to do that. I just got off the call with an employee that has been with Travel Zoo for 17 years. And I call him up to thank him for being an employee for 17 years. And he's like, oh my God, just, he appreciates me calling him. And, just to have someone that's been with the company that long, you really want to appreciate them. But I reach out to everyone. I try and reach out to everyone on their anniversary to thank them for being with the company. And I think that is important as well.
Mhm.
So it's taking time to celebrate success. When I hear someone had a great sale, or someone just worked the extra mile to get something done, I try and reach out to them and I thank them for that. And I think that that's something leaders need to do, is take the time to, appreciate people, celebrate the success that they have, and thank them for what they do.
Right. When I also, and I love Punk Post, I'm going to look into it. So when I think of empathy, what comes to mind is being there for people when they're going through challenges. Maybe they have, made a mistake and they're being hard on themselves, or, could be customer challenge, or just being in tune with what's going on, and being understanding that sort of, being empathetic. So would you say that is another aspect of it from your leadership, is really being there and being present for people when things aren't going well for them?
Absolutely. I mean, it was a tough year for everyone these past couple of years with COVID. And I think that just being there to talk things through, being there to be able to help them when they need help. As I said, the lunch on us is an area that it helps me to just understand what's their struggle, what's happening, and make me feel human. I want them to know that they could talk to me at any time. Whenever a new employee starts, I mean, I have a new employee that started today. I reached out to her. I always say, you know what, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, you can reach out to me. And I think that sometimes, managers don't make themselves as accessible as they should. And if you want to have, your employees to be happy, you need to be accessible to them to help them out in good times and bad times. You've always want to be there for them, not always just for the good times.
That is really incredible because these aren't all your direct reports. So they report to other people within the organization, but you're personally reaching out. So I could just think what a strong, positive first impression that is, that you're personally reaching out, so not only do they have their peers, their direct manager or director they report to, but that you've taken the time to reach out. That's yeah, really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Any new person that starts, I'll take the time and have a call with them. If I hadn't interviewed them, I try and interview as many as I can. If I hadn't
Yeah.
interviewed them, I want to meet them. I still want to meet them and let them know about the vision of the company and how we are, and just to let them know who I am and how they can reach out to me. And, I want to learn a little bit about them and what their past background is, and some of the challenges or things that they're excited about.
Absolutely. So what, from your perspective and thinking of how the world is right now, the world and the world of work, from your perspective, what do you think are the biggest obstacles to happiness while working? What do you think is making it challenging to be thriving while working right now?
Well, I'm sure we've all heard about they call it the Great Resignation. I know sometimes we call it the Great Hiring. But I think it has a lot to do with, less doing more with less people right now,
Yeah.
because people are leaving. So some people are getting frustrated. It's harder because they are doing a lot more with less people. And
Resources.
that's a big part of it for us. That I would say is one of our biggest struggles right now. It's
Yeah.
it's also, you've got prices going up, and everyone's inflation is happening, and gas prices and food prices is going up, and everyone is, they feel like they want to make more money. So that's a big issue too. You want people to
Yeah.
be happy. I know we recently did a employee survey, and we survey our employees just to see what's making them happy, what are they unhappy about. So I think that's important for a lot of companies, is to survey your employees and
Yes.
find out what it is that's making them happy. We are doing it every 6 months, and this way we can do another check to see, are we improving on things. And that's the other thing too, is when you do a survey and you ask people, follow up on it. Don't just forget about it. So that's important, is making sure that you follow up on it, and you try and either make some changes, or see what you can do to move it in the right direction, the areas that you can improve on.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Um, the first point, because I think this is universal for so many organizations right now, and puts a lot of pressure on leaders. The first point of people are having to do more with less people. And so that potentially can lead to overwork, overwhelm, hopefully not, but maybe even burnout, chronic stress. If there is more work than is possible, right? So any suggestions or strategies or tactics to, I would say, for the leaders that have a team and they recognize, like, okay, there's more on everyone's plate.
Sure. So you can do some quick wins. I mean, one of the things that we try and do is we have summer Fridays in place to give them a little bit of a break. So we do know that Fridays are a little bit slower, and if people get their job done summer Fridays, it's kind of a nice win for people who had a long week and a full week. So that's one area that we do. It's just making sure that you are, like I said, communicating to your team. And when you feel like they're overworked, that's when managers do step in. A lot of the managers will do the person's job that they're asking their team to do. So we do that many times, where a lot of our managers will step in because they're short staffed. And I'm seeing that right now, where you just, as a manager, you can't sit back and expect everyone else to do it and they're overworked, and you're not pitching in and helping out. So we do ask for them to help out as much as possible. And it's just, everyone in the team knows that we're short staffed in some areas. So you understand that, and we are respectable of that. I think that I always say we're like a great community, a great family at Travel Zoo, and we all just work together and we pitch in. Many times you'll do cross-functional things where someone from another department will chip in and help out wherever we need it. So it's just really working together. I think
Mhm.
that's the big thing, is you've just got to work together. You know, we got to go across the finish line together, and we don't want to leave anyone behind. So that's important
Mhm.
that we all just work together to hit that point.
You also, what I heard through your answer was listening, so in order for a manager to step in, they need to know, they must have seen or heard or, be in touch to know, okay, these two people are feeling really, really overwhelmed. They are stressed. They, of not being out of touch, right?
Mhm.
That they're connected to go, okay, I don't want this person to, be so overwhelmed. So to know about that too.
Yeah. And that's where I remember I had said about the one-on-ones, they're so important to have those,
Yes.
because that's how you find out how your team is. And you want to have a relationship where they can feel comfortable to say, hey, I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm stressed. I'm at my point where I can't do anymore. And you really, as a manager, need to understand that. So it's having those one-on-ones and making sure you have that comfortable conversation that they feel okay with telling you how they feel. So I think
Mhm.
that's important. And, I think we do a very good job at Travel Zoo doing that.
Yes. Yes. So you have worked, we were talking before you, and you've worked in many different companies and you've had different positions. How have you changed as a leader as a result of what's happened over the last few years? Sort of your personal growth or maybe professional growth.
Yeah. So for me, I think I was saying before, I always try and take and learn from other managers. I think that's so important to create your own style as a manager. And I learn every day. I mean, I wake up every day and my mission is always, I want to learn something new and teach someone something. Like I really want to do that
Oh, I
each
love
day.
that. Learn and
And
teach.
I really, I pride myself in that, to really try and a lot of times what I learned that day is what I want to teach someone else, because I'm like, oh, this is really great. Did check out this thing that I learned, and you want to share that. So
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm always constantly learning and trying to educate myself and just learn from past managers that I have. And for me, that's just really how I've evolved to the manager I am. I just know how I want to be treated and how I, you always taught, treat people the way you want to be treated. And I always make sure that I treat, everyone the way I want to be treated. I'm not afraid to do any job. I will pitch in and help out wherever I can help out. That's what we said. We're all short staffed at times, and it's however we can help out and jump in, we do it. And,
Mhm.
and then it's, like I said, listening and communication. I'd say key things are communication. It's very, very important to always just listen and just be that manager that listens, and, just consideration to everyone. Like you want to make sure you treat everyone the way you treat the way you want to be treated.
Considerate. Yeah. And that kind.
Yeah.
With communication, of course, there's so many new tools that companies are using, like Slack, or, of course, we were talking about video phone.
Mhm.
There's text messaging. At Travel Zoo, I'm curious to understand, do you have any rules or boundaries or guidelines around communication? For example, you know, do you have where on Sunday someone could receive 25 emails or
Right.
get a messaging, and if you do, yeah, I would just like to understand that, because people want to have information. If you don't have information, that's a negative.
Mhm.
But there's also, and I think it's because of people's personal life and
Mhm.
the work. I mean, I know how many things I get from kids camps or my school or the kids schools, or it's information coming from all areas of life. It's not just work. But
Mhm.
yeah, can you just talk about
Yeah.
if there are any like communication rules, or because I know a lot of companies I work with, that's something they struggle with, of like, okay, not everybody wants an email at 9 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah. So there's no written rule. I would say the unwritten rule is weekends are for emergencies only. I have always prided myself in that. I won't email people on a weekend unless it's an emergency. We really want to respect everyone's home life and not bothering them on the weekends. We do have an emergency list of phone numbers. Half the time it's not even an email. If there's an emergency, we'll make a phone call, because it's not something you can wait till someone reads their email, because people know
Right.
they're not really reading emails. So it's more of we'll text or we'll call if there is an emergency, but that very, very rarely happens. And we do respect that everyone's not privacy, but their personal life.
Yeah.
As far as communication, we have Teams. So we use Microsoft
Yeah.
Teams is the way. And it's hard sometimes. Like, it's so different now that we're virtual, where in the past you were in the office and you just go over and talk to someone, where now you have to like chat them. And sometimes you don't know if they're on a call, you don't know if they're talking to someone or what's going on. So the respect is, if I don't respond right away, know that I'm busy doing something. So it's not like, you have to respond within a certain amount of time if you send a message or anything like that. But there's so many different tools. Like you said, Teams has worked great. We use the virtual meetings all the time. That's how we
Mhm.
definitely communicate. When we have one-on-ones, when we have our US monthly updates, our global calls, you want to see people's faces too.
Yeah.
It's
You want to
important
have
to have
some.
that, visual of seeing people's faces again too. One of the things that I did, like I said, sometimes you have video fatigue. And 2 weeks ago, when I did the monthly update, I told everyone, I said, if you can get outside, take it from outside. Just take it from your phone and walk
Oh, I love
around.
that.
And I've always tried to do, like, sometimes as a manager, you want to just change things up a little bit, and we're all stuck in our houses sometimes. And,
Yes.
because we are across the United States, I wasn't sure. And I think there was a heat wave going on in Chicago at the time, and they're like, it's so hot outside. And I was like, well, if you can go out for a minute, try. But,
Yeah.
just trying to change things up. And I said, take the call from outside, and, just everyone,
Fantastic.
be on you. And it was fun. Some of them had their dogs, they were walking their dogs. And it's just nice to kind of, like I said, see the human side of everyone, and see,
Yeah.
we're just a great family trying to have an amazing piece of content going out to our members. So,
Right. Right. But and just get out of your seat and change
yeah,
it up.
walk
Yeah.
around.
I've been really focusing on, I usually meditate a few times a week, but I'm really trying to meditate daily, even for 5-10 minutes. And this morning I was like, oh, I haven't done it yet. So I went out, I know my kids were watching a show, and I sat out there for about 7 minutes. And then I opened my eyes and I was like looking at the clouds and looking at the moon. And I was thinking, wow, I wouldn't have noticed any of this. I don't think I would have looked at the clouds, even though I have huge windows. We have a beautiful, you're just doing everything, to just be like, oh, wow, the sky,
Yeah,
of
take a
just
moment to like take it all in,
take a
what's around
moment.
you.
Now
Yeah,
slow down and take a moment. Yes,
yeah,
yes,
very true.
absolutely. Out of curiosity, have you gotten any feedback over the past few years? Because I know I read the reports that come out from Microsoft about, the increase, obviously, of usage and the increase of meetings. Have you had to readjust or look at how many meetings you have or when the meetings are, so that people don't have meeting fatigue?
I think each team has their own meetings. So
Right?
everyone try and, sometimes there'll be managers like, oh, the team is having too many meetings. And I'm like, then tell them to cut out which ones aren't important. I mean, everyone knows what's the important meetings that they need to go to. And I think that we treat everyone with respect, that they know what meetings they need to be on, and what meetings they can't be on. So, I find for myself, I try and block away some time at the end of the day, because I am in so many meetings throughout the day. I need time to get through the email, and otherwise,
Right.
I'm
Time to
not
like
able to
block
get.
time to execute.
Exactly. That was a trick a manager had taught me once. They said, call it Andre time, and just like block away an hour at the end of the day. And it's an hour that could be booked if I need to. If someone says, I really need to talk to you, I have that time blocked as well. But it's also my time that's when I go through my emails, because I also want to make sure I respond to each email by the end of the day. Everyone, they took the time to send me an email. I want to make sure I either reply with, let me get back to you, or, an answer with the email. I think that's important.
Right, right. But set that time. I'm sure that practice of having that time in the day also helps you not feel overwhelmed, right? And it's not like at night, you're not doing it at 9:30 p.m. It's when your brain is still
Exactly.
more
You're still in
close.
work mode. Yes, you're still in work
Exactly.
mode.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yes, still in work mode.
Yeah.
So we're almost at time. I have one last question. What advice would you give to leaders right now? Of course, everyone has been through a lot, whether you're in travel or other industry. What advice would you give to leaders right now to help them stay motivated and stay engaged?
So I always say you've got to take time for yourself too. I mean, that's something that get refreshed yourself and make sure you take some time. So being in the travel industry, for me, it's definitely all about having some sort of trip planned, even if it's for a weekend getaway. It gives you something to look forward to. It's important to do that. So I try and plan something every month to give myself something to look forward to. Um, you know, always refresh yourself over the weekend. I have to say, I always look forward to work on Monday. I look forward to starting my day, but you want to kind of wrap things up on Friday. So when you start Monday, you are able to start fresh. I think that's really important. Take the time to, like I said, reach out to people when it's their work anniversary, reach out to them. It's just really important to thank people for their work that they're doing. Like I said, we do the shout outs. The shout outs is really important to appreciate people that what they're doing. Some people did something special this week. Recognize them. That's always important to do that.
Mhm. Oh, Andre, thank you so much for all of the ideas and suggestions and wisdom and your passion. I'm excited for people to listen, and it's been such a pleasure talking with you.
Same here. Thank you for having me on.